time to sing. Don't eat chickens, don't eat eggs, don't eat anyone who has wings, fins, or legs. Don't eat cows or cats or dogs or pigs. Eat lentils, beans, broccoli, potatoes, carrots, and figs. Okay, well, hi everybody.
And that's how we start off.
I'm Miss Katie, that vegan teacher, and here is my colleague, another animal defender, Amy from Chicken Butt Micro Sanctuary, who takes care of, guess what animal? I don't know. It's going to be tough to
Guess what? Chicken butts.
Guess what? Chicken butts, yeah. I have a vegan dog. You have lots of chickens. You want to tell everybody about Chicken Butt Micro Sanctuary so
Sure.
that they know?
Yeah, I went vegan 11 years ago, and I wanted to connect with the survivors. And at that time, there were no sanctuaries other than a chicken sanctuary in Minnesota. And I went and met chickens and started helping to rescue them. It's surprising how many chickens need rescue. Well, you wouldn't be surprised, right?
Yeah.
But eventually, I ended up rescuing and taking care of chickens in my home and in my space. And so we currently have 7 residents, and we're a micro sanctuary. So we're trying to stay small so that we don't become hoarders and that we stay within our physical, emotional, and financial means, and that they get the time and attention that they deserve. And then this also benefits because we can advocate for individuals instead of just like a flock. You know, we can really focus on sharing how even rescuing just a few individuals makes such a difference. And so it's a good way also to help people see them as individuals no different than dogs and cats. And so that's another benefit to doing that.
Except
so we currently
except instead of having 5 or 6 dogs and cats, you have how many animals in the home altogether?
There are a total of 11 currently. We have 7 in our sanctuary. There's another sanctuary who lives on site, and they have bantams, the small chickens, and she's a vegan who rescues. And then we have 1 individual in our quarantine space. And so they won't become a member of our sanctuary. We will find a vegan home for them.
Okay. And you also have a cat?
We have 2 cats.
2 cats. All right. How do they get along with the chickens?
Fine. Chickens and cats get along wonderfully.
So interesting, right? When you bring a new member, when you bring a new chicken into your home, how do you introduce the cats to them? Like, are you ever nervous that there'll be a or...
Nope, they just sniff them and nod and walk away politely.
So that's great.
You don't have to be best friends with everybody or love everybody, just to respect them.
Yeah.
Harm them. That's kind of our philosophy.
It's really great. And so how have you been feeling on TikTok, doing your lives there and showing your chickens to everybody? How's the experience for you?
It's been very fascinating. You know, we have over 12K followers, and I didn't expect that people would be all that interested in what we're doing. And so it's been interesting and a learning curve, as you know, with dealing with people who are triggered by advocating for animals. It's so odd to have to deal with people who are trolling and being abusive.
It's so strange, isn't it? Like
being kind.
If you had 5 or 6 dogs and cats, everybody would be like, oh, whatever. But because they're chickens, they feel this urge to be so cruel. And
I know it's the cognitive dissonance, but it's still really surprising. But we do have a lot of people who are, regular followers who help to control the not allowing the bullies.
Right. So how many moderators do you have on your channel?
3.
Okay. Well, I wonder if I should try and tap into them and sort of ask them if they would like to moderate on my channel, because right now I have no moderators over on TikTok. I just don't have any, because I just thought, well, whatever, I'll just let everybody say whatever they want. And at one point I did what you're doing. Like, I just blocked all the comments completely just because it was so crazy. It's not so much that it's hateful and hurtful towards me. It's just the massive amount of misinformation. You've got so many 13-year-olds on there who they don't seem to have the respect enough to ask a question. So they'll make a statement as if it's a fact. And then everybody just believes it because they don't know that they're a kid. They might think, oh, this is a 50-year-old dad or what. Like, they don't know who's making the comments. So I don't know. how to handle it. I mean, I think 850 something thousand followers right now. And, you know, I'm not sure how to go about it. Maybe I should switch and do what you're doing. I don't know.
I don't know. I think we have a smaller following, but we do have a shared friend that Jordan, the vegan Jordan, and he's local, and he's an amazing teenage vegan activist.
Yeah,
he's he went vegan because of you, and he's a volunteer at our sanctuary, and he's a wonderful moderator.
Yeah, I just remember I was just telling you this the other day, that when I just randomly turned on TikTok, I saw him on your channel. I was like, what? Like, he lives near you just by some coincidence?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
It's a small, wonderful world.
I'll tell him definitely I said hi. And is he one of your moderators, or is he too young?
Nope. He can moderate.
Yeah.
He knows that, we don't allow for any kind of sexism, ageism, racism, speciesism, homophobia, transphobia, and that any comments that are inappropriate are removed. We don't leave trash around, right?
Right.
But that must be hard when you have so much coming in negative. So
it's just because you don't know what to do. Like, people tell you that with the algorithm, what's really important is just engagement. And at this stage, I think, I've always just thought, okay, just the more people that hear the word vegan every day is kind of like important. And it doesn't really matter in what fashion. At least they're thinking about the animals, and then, we're kind of straighten them out as they go along. And it does work in many ways. Like, yes, sir. Good morning.
Right? Sorry, we cannot and won't control that. So Sweet Pea, that's Sweet Pea, our resident rooster. There's 2 roosters on site, and he's very vocal.
Do you think that he wants to make an appearance on camera?
Sweet Pea, come here, Sweet Pea. He's a lot like a puppy dog, so he will come over. But
that's so funny.
Right? Here, come on over. I'm sure he'll pop up behind me any second now.
So I kind of learned to love chickens through your channel. I've always been against animal abuse, but never really, felt any attachment to a chicken. Like,
same.
Right?
I wasn't expecting it.
But then I watch your channel. I mean, I don't watch it all the time because you do lives and so do I at the same time sometimes. But, you're naming them and you're telling about all the different parts of them. And I mean, and they watch TV, and it's just so interesting.
He's right here. Do you want to snuggle? Here's Sweet Pea.
Oh, hi, bud. Hi, Brittany. What a handsome dude. Do you think he actually sees me? Like, hi.
Oh, he sees you. He can see in full color. You see?
So he understands the concept sort of a TV type thing.
Yeah. If he sees like a predator. Did you want to get down? Sorry. We respect body autonomy, and he's got things to do. But yep,
that's good.
He sees motion, and he understands predators. He'll often growl if he sees a predator on the screen. He likes bright colors. He likes Bob Ross. I don't know.
Bob Ross is a painter.
Yes.
Right.
His preferences, so just like us.
Just like us, yeah. And do you find that what time does he do that in the morning?
He starts at about 30 in the morning, and he goes throughout the day.
Sorry, I didn't catch it. I caught the 30, but the what time?
4:30, usually 4:30 to 5 a.m., which is one of the reasons why we have them indoors overnight, because we're being thoughtful towards our neighbors. Not everybody wants to wake up that early.
Why not? Doesn't everyone want to wake up?
Exactly. Get a start on the day to advocate for the animals.
I'm up at 4:30. I should have some of these companions.
Right?
I really am actually up at 4:30. I don't know why, but that's the way it is.
You have the energy because you're on that plant-based diet, right?
I guess so. Yeah. Plants only, not just, exactly. I don't, yeah. The word based sounds like, oh, you're sort of based on it, but I like to use, what's the word? There's a Chef AJ. Do you know her? Chef AJ.
I heard of her. Yeah. Tell me about her.
She calls it plants exclusive. Yeah.
Ooh,
plants exclusive or plants.
Write that down.
Plants. Yeah. I'm on a plants exclusive diet.
I'm writing that down.
Plants only,
I love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but yeah, she's all about health and doesn't talk about the animals. And I think it's important personally to talk a bit about both. But I don't know if you've noticed that there seems to be like people who talk about chickens and not eating them, and then there's people who talk about like chickens and truly protecting them. Like there's the health-based people, and then I would like them to merge a little bit more in that world.
We are vegans, so we advocate for the animals, and yet we're aware of how a whole food plant exclusive diet benefits the human health as well as the environment. But we do make it very clear the definition of what veganism is, and that's not exploiting and using animals for any purpose. That's food, clothing, entertainment, transportation, etc. So we definitely like to educate that and try to be good role models and not eat too many, vegan chocolate chips. But
yeah, that's tough. It's really tough. People that make fun of me, like they just say I'm too skinny, but they don't realize that all my fat is on my hips and my butt, which I never show.
Right.
I'm like, I love eating so much.
Me too.
I literally can't wait to eat. It's my favorite part of the day. And vegan food is so good.
I didn't realize that. I said I would never be a vegan, and now I'm a vegan, and it's one of the best decisions I've made, obviously for the animals, but I found these benefits for my husband, myself, and my family members have benefited so much health-wise. So
yeah. So how do you feel when people ask you, where do you get your protein?
I just realized that many people don't know much about nutrition. So I try to come at it from just knowing that I didn't know much about it either until I went vegan and had to do the homework. And thankfully there's so many resources now that make it easier to find out where do you get protein. And it's obviously from plants. And that's where all sources of protein are originating from. And so I'm just not filtering my protein through the corpses of animals. So
yeah. Yeah, it was fine explaining it the first 3,000 times. And then after,
right.
Like we're just human, right? And some days I'm just like, Google.
I don't get protein at all. I don't.
Yeah, I got none. You're right. I'm dying right now.
Exactly. Dead. It's been how many years?
I did actually say that today on a TikTok in response to somebody who said it was a kid. Like I went and looked at who was making this comment. It was like it seemed like somebody who was 11, but you're not even allowed on TikTok until you're 13. Right. And I made a video and I said, look, I don't even know if you're allowed to be on here, but anyway, you're telling me that I'm dying, and you're right. We all are from the moment that we're born.
Now, how long have you been vegan?
7.5 years.
Wonderful. We are on year 11, but we haven't eaten the corpses of animals for 21 years in this household.
Yeah. I made that mistake of being vegetarian before as well. It's what can we say, right? I mean,
right.
For me, it was
when you know better, you do better.
Yeah, you change. Yeah. Yeah, but on my channel, I do a lot of crazy stuff. People don't realize that half the time I'm just making up stuff just to get attention, to get people to watch the documentaries. Like I'm just trying to, that's really the focus for me, is just trying to get them to see the truth, because we can't. That's one of the most frustrating things for vegans, is we can't show the footage, or our accounts get banned for animal abuse. Right. We're literally trying to show only what these people pay for.
Right, but they have no problem being able to show dead fish, dead deer, and plates of these bodies without being banned. But of course, if you share the truly horrific things that are done to use animals, it's forbidden.
Yeah. And so when I used to be on TikTok a few years ago, before my original account got banned, I was saying things like, I would look at the community guidelines and it said, no harming of any animals, no dead animals. And I was like, you see, it says right here in the guidelines, you're not allowed to show animals in frying pans. And then and they saw my videos and they're like, oh shit. And then they changed the guidelines because they realized, wait, according to our guidelines, we're not allowed to show bacon, sausage, ham, and all of this.
Right, their own hypocrisy.
Yeah. And it's so crazy. Like today, somebody was filming in Spain, these baby pigs wrapped in cellophane in a
I saw that.
You saw that?
Mm-hmm.
Like they're dead baby pig. Like they're just so innocent looking and so, I don't know. Sometimes
They were so tiny, and but then I see that and I think how much better is it to show their whole bodies versus body parts where it's easier to disassociate.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's all horrible, but
it's all horrible. I know. It's just that I guess what I'm trying to say though is that when these baby pigs that are dead in the windows of these grocery stores are shown, people today are so desensitized that they will make comments like, oh, I'd like to eat the ear and stuff like that. And I remember first going on TikTok and thinking, okay, these are just a couple of oddball, cruel people. But they really seem like, I was just watching a video. I follow teachers on YouTube, and there's a channel called Teacher Therapy, because I'm a teacher. So we're trying to see if the society is changing and actually like literally getting worse and more desensitized with video games and whatever, and the teachers are really saying that they're seeing a change, that they cannot get any students to be quiet, to be polite, to sit still. Like I was watching a music teacher today, and she was saying, she used to hold up her recorder and say like, hi-ya, to get these kids to be quiet. And now they make some sort of like, I don't want to repeat it here, but they do like a sexual sound, like, oh yeah, or something like, and she's just like, where are they getting that from? Like, it's mind boggling. And so there's parents who are looking at, directly at the cameras and saying teachers are saying to parents, like, you guys have to acknowledge there's a problem here with the society today, that they're so self-absorbed, and everyone wants to be famous, but they don't care for what reason. They just want attention. So what about your comment section then right now? Is it pretty clean? There's pretty much just questions and...
we don't tolerate, again, the bullying. And while I know that costs me some attention, I would rather focus on people who actually care. We're talking about that just a moment ago of I believe that I want to spend my energy on people that care, people who, you don't even have to love animals, but just to not want to harm animals. So I'm going to focus on people who just are truly still have that empathy, that connection, and that even that just desire to not cause harm. My husband, he's a vegan. He doesn't love animals, and he's not an animal lover, but he just believes it's wrong to cause the harm of others when you have alternatives. And so I want to reach those type of people. And so we do pretty well. Again, I think there's so many different ways to be an animal rights activist. And so if you want to do vegan cheese making classes, great. If you want to be out there protesting, great. If you want to make videos like you do so frequently, that's wonderful. Whatever.
Yeah, we just use whatever we have.
Right. Just do it.
I like making up silly songs, so I just do that. But yeah, if somebody's...
I love your songs.
Oh, thanks. I wrote one for you. Did you heard it, right? I sent it to you one day, but I kind of lost it, like, because I invent things and they just go back up. But I want to, like, because I do this thing where I can put things on Spotify. I want to put that on Spotify so people hear it and then they'll find you, right? Because it mentions your chicken butt micro sanctuary. But I lost track of like thousands of songs that I've composed. I just blurt out, then they move on. But
I wish I had that skill that you have, the singing. Oh, wonderful.
Well, I'm not that great of a singer, but I have been making up songs. I've been making up songs since I was like really little. Like I would just be in the back seat of the car and just try to make up songs about trees going by or whatever. So it's something that I always like experimented with. Do you want to talk a little bit about the chickens and the type of problems that they have regarding their reproductive system and how quickly they grow and that type of thing?
Yeah, I think like most people, I didn't really stop to think about chickens and like how many eggs they lay. I just thought chickens lay eggs. And so it wasn't until I started rescuing chickens that I had to learn about the history and the genetics behind chickens and what we've done. And historically, and we know this because modern chickens exist, just like wild horses and wild turkeys are still there. There are wild chickens, jungle fowl. So we know what nature intended, but we started breeding for specific things that we humans would benefit from at the expense of the individual and their species. And so modern wild chickens are supposed to lay less than 24 eggs in a year. Their goal of laying eggs is to have babies, chicks, which makes sense. And they would lay about 6 eggs in a clutch, and it takes about a week, 24 to 26 hours per egg. And they want a grouping because their babies would survive better. So they'd lay a clutch of eggs and over the course of a week, then sit on the eggs for 20 days for incubation, the heat of their body, their mothers raising their babies up underneath them. And then after 21 days, hopefully everybody hatches, and then they raise their baby for about 2 months, and then they could maybe do that again. So maybe a spring clutch, then maybe a late summer, and maybe rarely a third clutch of another grouping. Fourth clutch, maybe if a clutch was destroyed by predators. So if you're doing 6 times 4, I'm not great at math, but 6 times 4 is less than 24 eggs in a year. That's what's natural. But now we have bred them like we have with many animals. And now they're laying 170 to 320 eggs per year, which is obscene. And we're taking their eggs away from them, so they never get to sit on their clutch of eggs. And so it's creating all these problems. And of course, in the farms, the farmers are also doing forced molting, which pushes the egg production up. They're using lighting to trick the chickens into thinking that it's still that time of year to lay eggs. And so in the United States,
it's so abusive. It's awful.
So horrible. I mean, the forced molting, the debeaking, the battery cages, and in the United States, 90 to 95% of all egg layers are in battery cages. But not that there is like some right way to do the wrong thing. You know,
so wait, do you want to
backyard chickens?
Like when you say words like battery cage, like people might be thinking of a battery. So like, what does that mean?
So it is a small cage where there's about 5 to 6 chickens in the cage, and there's no space to even stretch their wings out. It's really small.
Like in this little square that we're in right now. Like
Right. Exactly. It's like if I put 6 humans in an elevator for 2 years of your life, but the elevator's made of cage. You're stuck there. And so then this creates many problems. But even if, and I don't want to focus too much on battery cages because again, they could be called free range or cage free, and it's still horrific conditions. And we don't go for welfareism. We're not looking for bigger cages or, pretty green fields for them to run through. We want use. Abolition of use.
We're abolitionists. We want to abolish all of the cages. Except for when you adopt them, which you have done, you have them in cages outside so that the foxes don't get at them. And you have in your videos, I've seen explaining that it's not just like chicken wire, it's like a special type of tough wire and
hardware cloth
under the ground so that they're safe. And so, that's necessary to protect them in the same way that we put a leash on a dog.
Right. So, we provide protection for anybody in our care, whether they're human, children, or non-human animals.
Yeah, I used to have all my kids on leashes.
Right. It's our responsibility. We need to protect, and they are not wild animals. They are domesticated animals that have been brought into existence. So we don't breed, we don't buy, we only rescue, and then we have to provide protection.
If they do have eggs, what do you do with them?
Right. So because we talked about the egg laying, what is natural and versus what we bred them for, just like pugs with the smooshed noses, this breeding for traits that we find beneficial causes a lot of harm to the individual and species. And for chickens, they have an up to 30 to 35% higher rate of ovarian cancer by age 2, and a lot of reproductive diseases. And so not just ovarian cancer, but prolapse, egg yolk peritonitis, lash, all these related to us having bred them for prolific egg laying. And for the animals, chickens who are being used for their bodies, their flesh, they are being bred to be so big that they're slaughtered by about 8 to 9 weeks of age for their flesh when they're still blue-eyed and peeping, so they don't get to grow up. So for the egg layers, though, because they have all these reproductive diseases, we do implants. It's called Suplorian, and we implant them. It lasts about 6 to 9 months.
This blew my mind when I found out about this a few years ago.
So these implants off the reproductive system.
Birth control.
It's right. It's not natural, but
No.
neither is the rate of ovarian cancer. And it's not natural for us to have glasses or birth control either, but if it benefits and helps them, that's our goal. And so we do want to reduce that risk of cancer, and it helps them live longer lives. So we love it. It is expensive, and so not every sanctuary is able to do this. But
so people can contact you if they want to help to donate some money, because you're just a normal everyday person who ended up with chickens.
Right. And we are a nonprofit, so all the money goes right to the animals. And for those of us who are patrons and support us financially, we love you. We appreciate you. We couldn't do it without you. We rescue not just our residents, but so many chickens that we end up finding vegan homes for here.
And I respect what you said. I respect what you said at the beginning about not taking in too many animals, although I know there must be a huge amount of pressure, because like, oh, there's a chicken. Let's call Amy. She'll take the chicken. But what happens is that people who are, have a good heart, they end up taking on too much. And the fact of the matter is, you need to push back and say, look, community, that's now you guys have to figure something out, because I'm doing my share here and I don't want to get overwhelmed. And I think it's important, but hard. So you're digging your heels in, and because you know your limitations.
Right.
And otherwise everyone will suffer.
Right. So we do not support people who are trying to get rid of their animals, but we do rescue individuals who have been abandoned or liberated. So we will do that. But the problem is, well, there's many problems with going on with breeding and even using backyard chickens, but half of all chicks hatched are going to be the roosters. And in the egg industry, they macerate those male chicks because they're not needed.
The egg industry is just a cycle of misery. They lie to you endlessly. Don't buy eggs, walk away. Go to egg-truth.com today.
But in the backyard situation, they get these baby chicks and they get oops roosters all the time. And most cities have ordinances against roosters. And so trying to find homes, even in is really challenging, because we're at capacity. All of us are at capacity. Yeah. So it's very rare that we have openings for roosters. And many sanctuaries, and there are amazing vegan sanctuaries out there, are rooster exclusive, or they are trying to build flocks and spaces for roosters who are abandoned. Do
you have any other sanctuaries that you want to plug that are near? You're in which state again? Wisconsin?
I'm in Minnesota, and there are... I'm in Minnesota, and so Rooster Redemption used to be here in Minnesota, a rooster exclusive. They moved to Washington to get to a better, warmer place. I miss them. And there's Little Cluckers. There's Anna Lake Sanctuary. They have a variety. Chicken Run Rescue, they're who helped us become chicken advocates. There's Spring Farm Sanctuary, Farmastay. There's also Herbivorous Acres, and those are all just in Minnesota.
Except Did you say one's called Farmastay, like Namaste?
Exactly.
Oh, that's neat. Cool.
So, and Bruno's Barn, they specifically focus on pigs, but amazing sanctuaries, vegan sanctuaries in Minnesota.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you think that the viewers would like to know about chickens? Something so we talked about birth control for them. Do you want to maybe touch a little bit more about why backyard eggs are not okay for people? Because a lot of times people think, that should be okay. And why is it that we say no?
Right. Well, we already talked about the roosters and how half of all chicks hatched are roosters, and most cities have ordinances against roosters. And so that's problematic, because every time you want an egg layer, you're creating a demand for chicks to be hatched. And you're saying, okay, throw that one into the trash. Let's abandon that one. But it's also an issue of exploiting a female's reproductive system. And every time you want an egg, you are creating this demand for a victim who's going to have this high rate of ovarian cancer. And it's just not ethical. And there's so many alternatives to exploiting an individual. And it's bad for their bodies to have been bred for this purpose.
Mm-hmm. I live in Italy now, and I read that in a few years, they're going to be trying to implement a system here where they can tell if the egg is male or female before it hatches. Do you know if they're doing some sort of technology like that in the States?
I don't know if they're going to do it in the States. I know Israel has 2 patents for trying to determine male from female before they hatch. But again, that still doesn't address the issue that they are breeding hens into existence who have Frankenstein reproductive systems with that high rate of all these reproductive diseases.
It doesn't solve the problem, in my view. It's again, this, how can we use them to the best of our ability? And instead of just, how can we just back away and just eat more lentils, beans, potatoes, and vegan foods?
Yay, potatoes. Love potatoes.
Yay.
Right. And it's again another method that the farming industry is trying to use to make you feel better about using animals. So whether it's cage-free, free range, humane, all these terms.
And all the packaging with the green fields, when in fact you know that is not where they came from. Same with cow's milk, all of the labels that make it look like it's not that. So you feel better about buying. It's so sad.
Right. And a lot of people who say, oh, I get my eggs from my backyard neighbor or local farm, they don't realize that, again, the hens are still going to be killed when they're no longer useful. That roosters are still going to be hatched and then unwanted. And they're not going to be sourcing where the eggs came from the cake that they're eating at their friend's birthday party. They're not reading the ingredients on the back of the packages to see.
Yeah, that's what they always say.
Eggs
I get my eggs from my neighbor. Okay, but what about when you just went to McDonald's and you bought a bun or whatever that had some egg in it, or a donut?
Right.
Whereas vegans will just not ever go there because we're checking every ingredient and we're just following through. As much as is humanly possible.
Exactly.
I know you're here to talk about the sanctuary, but just to touch a little bit on foods, in case somebody wants to be vegan, what kind of stuff do you eat?
Everything. I eat everything I want. I'm a big foodie and I love eating, and as you do. And so I eat lasagna. I love making lasagna, and it's vegan.
La 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 la. Oh my God, it's vegan lasagna. La 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 la. Oh my God, it's vegan lasagna.
Tacos, pizzas, baklava, all of it is vegan. I don't use animal products. I don't use honey. I don't use eggs. If the hens lay any eggs, I feed the eggs back to the hens. There's no need to use these products.
Do you cook them first or heat them up in some way in the microwave or something?
It depends on the hen. Some hens like their eggs hard-boiled. Some like them scrambled. Some like them raw. So it depends on the hen. But I prefer to hard-boil them because it's less messy.
Yeah, I mean, it's so... I ate so many eggs before becoming vegan. I mean, this is what I regret so much, is that I didn't eat meat for a long time, didn't eat any animals, but I know that I really screwed up because... Well, no, it's great. One day I realized I was putting like double the cheese on my pizza, like duh. And I was eating like double the eggs. So it's like, it wasn't doing any good. Come here, sweet pea, come here. So one of the things I do on my TikTok channel is I tell people to come out of the closet as a vegan. I try to make this parallel with the LGBTQ community, where people say, they're born as a gay man or as a lesbian. I say, we're all born vegan. It was just beat out of us. And so I say, I like people to come out of the closet as a vegan. I should say, come out of the pantry or something. Come out of the pantry as a vegan. And then I use this thing, which people get upset with me about, but I say, the LGBTQ flag, it has all the colors in there, like the rainbow flag. The rainbow flag represents anti-oppression, and you go ahead.
Sorry.
Look at that nice couch they have there. That's so cozy looking.
He likes to hang out there.
Hey, bud. What a cutie. Yeah, so just to finish, I was just saying that one of the things that I do is I tell the LGBTQ community, like people always say, do you support them? And I say, well, it depends who. Like, what are they eating? Like, I don't just support a whole community. I don't support women. I don't support whatever. It depends on individuals. And, I just think that the rainbow flag also represents we're supposed to eat a rainbow of foods, right? So what did you have for breakfast this morning, for example?
I had frozen grapes. That's as far as I've gotten so far. But I've got some oatmeal with blueberries.
That's right. It's only morning there. I forget because it's like 6 o'clock at night here in Italy, and it's like only 10 over there or something. So
we have some oatmeal, and I also have some leftover vegan French toast. So I'm probably going to make myself a little bit of oatmeal and vegan French toast.
All right. Sounds delish. Thank you so much for introducing me and everybody to Sweet Pea over here. Thank you so much for all that you do for the animals. It's just really amazing. And
thank you for being an activist. We appreciate you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you so much for everything that you do. And I guess if people want to follow you over on TikTok, they can with the address that you have there, Chicken Butt Micro Sanctuary. Thanks so much, Amy. I'll see you over on TikTok.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Let's follow that vegan teacher on YouTube right now. Let's